It's closed on April 11th, 2023. We'll do our disclaimer, go over our calls, and make some predictions. It's my trading plan for April 12th, 2023. It's a call. I can be wrong. Trade at your own risk. For today, we look for the pattern with the early low, which is this. Tomorrow should have the early high. We said bears needed to drop pretty much right from the open to keep the bearish scenario alive, but it wasn't a lock. We also had a timing target of someone else. The time is actually could have been either today or tomorrow. There was a number between those two dates, so that one's still active. Well, we didn't drop right from the open, but we closed unchanged. And my rule is, when you close unchanged, I just repeat the prediction from the previous day. So if the bears are going to get their act together, they have to drop pretty much from the open. But that's a lot more likely now than it was at yesterday's close. Because at yesterday's close, we had all these lows and couldn't hold them at the close. Today, we have all these highs and couldn't hold him at the close. Just the exact opposite. All these F's or moves the system said were false would retrace, said these highs would all retrace back into this range, said this low would retrace back into the range, said this would retrace back into the range. It's all played out. Now, it didn't tell you where to enter, but at least it cautioned you against going along with the trend, because from the very beginning it said this trend wasn't going to stick. Well, here's how I'm counting it. I'm not saying it's the only count, but until it's invalidated, I'm going to stick with it. And let's see how we count from the top of magenta C on a 5-minute chart. Well, that's here. Here's magenta C. It's possible to count this as A and this as B. You've got good fibs. You have your A and your B, and C is the fib ratio of A. And if you look in wave red C, you can count this as an ABC, and those fibs worked. But again, that's not the only way to count it. If you look at the magenta count, you have an A, a B, a C, a D, and an E. A, C, and E all have Fibonacci ratios. And if that's the right count, it's an ending diagonal triangle. And it targets a complete retracement back down to here, which I think was around 4,075. 4,075.57. Now, it doesn't have to be an ending diagonal triangle, but it sure is acting like one with this drop. And if that's the right count, which we don't know, all this gets retraced, and that leads credence to this being the end of wave blue B and this being wave C down. We said earlier I was expecting these highs to hold. Yesterday I wasn't sure. Still can't be sure, but we stopped right short of what I wanted to hold. And if we do drop, that's going to work out after all. Tomorrow's pattern has the early high and the late low. Usually the late low is under the early high, but that's not a requirement. And lately it's been higher than the early high a fairly decent percentage of the times. So even though it's usually a negative pattern, you can't really count on that. Doesn't mean it won't be. The CPI report comes out before tomorrow's open. I just can't predict responses to such reports with a high degree of accuracy, but I'll do the best I can. Just remember, when that report comes out, we're going to probably get a big gap, and all this stuff I'm saying now might become worthless. We did a long rally all day long, couldn't hold on to intraday highs. So if that's maintained at tomorrow's open, should lead to lower prices. Doesn't mean you have to close lower, but you probably will. a timing system of someone else's, a date between yesterday and today. I'm assuming it's still active, and there's a wave count compatible with a big drop. I think the odds favor sizable gap at tomorrow's open, and if the gap is down, I think it could extend significantly. This is negative action. Again, you gap up smartly, it all gets erased. But for right now, we couldn't hold on to the highs. We stopped short of a level I was expecting to hold. And the wave count has this as possibly an ending diagonal triangle, which should retrace in its entirety. So we'll see what happens after the CPI report tomorrow. If it's positive, all is forgiven. The response is positive, all is forgiven. But if it's negative, all this gain can be erased and perhaps some more. And that's today's call.